Hi everyone. Hello and welcome. Good evening. My name is Abhilasha and I'm here to help you through your NMAT 2025 complete revision for logical reasoning. So today we will do some do's and don'ts about some important topics, and we will also cover some questions, very few questions, but yes, I wanted to give you some idea as to how each of these topics will be, and therefore this session on logical reasoning do's and don'ts. So let's get started. If you can all quickly give me a yes or no and tell me if I am visible and audible. Am I visible and audible? Can you just quickly do that? I'll be very happy. And also remember to hit like, share, and subscribe. So do like the session, do share the session, and also do subscribe to the channel, because of course, if you've subscribed, you know that you'll be able to participate in the chat box. Hit the bell icon so that you can also get notifications. If you have any inquiry from us, then 8130038836 is just the right number to connect on. Right? Let's do logical reasoning, do's and don'ts. I'll cover 4 topics today, 5 topics rather: cause effect, course of action, statement assumption, statement conclusion, and syllogisms. These are the 5 topics that we will be doing today. I'll take you through some do's and don'ts, and then of course I will also help you through 1 or 2 sample questions, one sample question for each one of these. Okay, I hope that's okay. All right, if you are here, can you quickly give me a yes or no, everyone who's here and live? Okay, let's start. So course of action question, what does a course of action question look like? So let me take you through a question on course of action. So this is a question that course of action will have. In the question below, a statement is followed by 2 courses of action numbered 1 and 2. A course of action is a step or administrative decision to be taken for improvement, follow-up, or further action in regard to a problem, policy, etc. On the basis of the information that is given, you have to assume everything in the statement to be true, then decide which of the suggested courses of action logically follow for pursuing. Okay. Now your first statement is that whatever, then you have 2 options, 2 courses of action, and then you have 2 or 4 or 5 options. So the options could be only course of action 1 follows, only course of action 2 follows, if either follows, if neither follows, and if both follow. So A, B, C, D, and E, those are your 5 options. Okay. And this is what your question will look like. So when you're looking at solving a course of action problem, what is it that you need to do? So first thing you do is identify what is the core problem. Okay, you understand what the statement is describing, whether it's an issue, a policy gap, a crisis, before assessing the action. Okay, check for feasibility. A valid course of action must be practical, logical, and directly relevant to solving the stated problem. You cannot do it randomly. If it is an impractical thing, then you cannot say that this is a valid conclusion. So whenever you're solving a course of action, check whether the solution is practical, logical, and directly relevant. Also check if the solution is ethically sound. Now, what do I mean by ethically sound? Essentially, I mean that something that is legal as well as ethical, right? So actions that are lawful, socially acceptable, and non-violent. So you have to also check for that. Look for preventive or corrective intent. Prefer actions that address the root cause rather than superficial effects. So whenever there is a problem, how will you resolve? See, our issue is to resolve the problem, remove the problem, and if you can't do either, then reduce the problem, reduce its intensity, right? So our goal is threefold: to resolve the problem, to remove a problem, do away with it completely, or to reduce the problem's intensity. So how do you do that? You do it by addressing what is the root cause of the problem. What is that actual thing that is causing this thing? So for example, let's say there is a toothache that is happening to me. Now, should I just keep having pain medicines for the entire year? Or should I go to a dentist and check out why my tooth is aching and then probably get the tooth removed? So I have to look at addressing the root cause and not just the superficial effect. So the pain is just the superficial effect. So of course that would help, but that's not what the actual solution will be. So resolve, remove, and reduce. That's the problem. Use balance of reasoning. If both the suggested actions can coexist logically, both follow may be the answer. Also, if only one at a time can follow, okay, please pay attention. If only one or two, okay, one at a time, okay, then your answer will be either. A lot of questions only have 4 options. A lot of exams only have 4 options, but NMAT actually has 5 options, and therefore the either option will also exist for you. So either 1 or 2 means one of the 2 will be valid, and therefore you check for those, okay, and then accordingly solve. So like I said, identify what is the core problem, then check whatever course of action is there must be legal, ethical, practical, logical, directly relevant. It must be socially acceptable. It must be non-violent. Then try to resolve, remove, or reduce the problem. And use balanced reasoning. So if both can exist, both solutions can happen at the same time, go for both. If they can both happen but not at the same time, then go for either one or two. Okay, please understand the either solution will always be whatever is the question type. Understand that the either solution is that both answers are possible. Okay, but not at the same time. For example, now understand this. So for example, if I were to tell you what's the time just now, I were to ask you what's the time just now, you would say, ma'am, it's 8. Okay. Now the options could have been it's 8 a.m. or it's 8 p.m. Now the problem is that 8 can be possible in the morning, in the night also. But 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. both are not possible at the same time. So both are possible answers, but they are mutually exclusive. So when the options are mutually exclusive, that's when you use the either option. Okay, so that's something that you must understand and use accordingly. Okay, all right. Now, what don't you do? So that also very quickly. So do not pick up extreme options. Okay, avoid very drastic measures, banning, punishing, demolishing, unless the scope of the problem is like that. Somebody murders someone and it's been proven, then maybe you could do that. So extreme actions are not to be taken. Please rely only on the information that is given. Do not assume external facts, and please don't put any personal opinions. Do not confuse suggestion with action. If there is a suggestion, then that is not a valid answer. Mere wish, advice, or opinion is not a course of action. I wish you would do this. That's not a course of action. Do not accept vague, impractical measures. Actions have to be implementable. Like I said, it has to be logical, real, practical, then only. Any emotional tone, please do not be swayed by that. A valid action is based on logic, not sympathy or outrage. So remember that no opinions, no extreme options, no external facts to be assumed. Only a valid action is an answer. Any suggestion would not be an answer. Okay. Just an advice, wish, or opinion is not a course of action. Do not accept any vague, impractical solutions. Whatever is the action, it has to be implementable in reality. So these are a few do's and don'ts that you must keep in mind. Okay, so let's go back to that question that we were doing. Now this question says a large number of engineering graduates in the country are not in a position to have gainful employment at present, and the number of such engineers are likely to grow in the future. Okay, so what it is saying that there are a large number of engineers who are not getting jobs and their numbers are likely to grow. So now The government should launch attractive employment generation schemes and encourage these graduates to opt for such schemes to effectively use their expertise and knowledge. Those colleges which are not equipped to impart quality education should be closed down immediately. Now, you tell me which of these is going to be a valid course of action. All those who are here, you can quickly tell me if this is a valid course of action. I'm trying to see if yes, guys, anyone with an answer? All right, let's take a look at this. So, very clearly, large number of engineering graduates are not in a position to have gainful employment, and number of such engineers are likely to grow. So what is the problem? The problem could be that they are not employable. The problem could be that there are no jobs. So both, right? So the government should launch attractive employment generation schemes and encourage these graduates to opt for such schemes to effectively use their expertise and knowledge. Well, this could be a choice. And two, which says those colleges which are not equipped to impart quality education should be closed down immediately. Please understand, you cannot really close down a college immediately. This is an extreme course of action, and therefore this one is not valid. Okay. So the best answer will be option number A, which is only one follows. Okay. So like we said, there is not gainful employment. So find employment generation. And two, because we don't know the college has a problem. And even if it does, you cannot close a college because then so many students would be left high and dry. Okay. So remember, extreme measures cannot be a valid solution, right? So no extreme measures. So eliminate those. So keep that in mind. All right, let's go to our next topic, which is cause and effect. Now in cause and effect, guys, I will take you to the question first, just to show you. Yes. So in cause and effect, two statements are given. These statements may be independent causes, effect of independent causes, effect of a common cause, or they may just be cause effects for each other. You have to read both the statements and decide which of the following choices is the correct relationship. For example, here, the state government has decided to change the syllabus. This is statement 1. This is statement 2. Many students from the state could not secure admission to the college of their choice. Now, the 5 options are if statement 1 is the cause, 2 is the effect, 2 is the cause, 1 is the effect. Both 1 and 2 are independent causes. Both 1 and 2 are effects of independent causes. And if both 1 and 2 are effects of some common cause. So I have to find out if there is a causal relationship. If they are effects of a common cause or an independent cause, or if nothing, then it is the independent cause. Okay, so let's take a look. So when you're doing this cause-effect relationship, the best thing is between statement 1 and 2, check if there is a causal relationship. That's the first thing you do. So ask why 1. If the answer is 2, then 2 is the cause, 1 is the effect. If you ask why 2 and the 1 is the answer, then 1 is the cause and 2 is the effect. So you've got your answers. If that doesn't happen, then you look for 1 and 2 and see if they have a common cause. Or look at 1 and 2 and see if they have different causes. If they have different causes, then they become effects of independent causes. If they have a common cause, then they become effects of a common cause, right? Accordingly, you mark your answer. If none of these, then the fifth option will be their independent effects or whatever. So keep that in mind. Now, what are the do's? Determine temporal and a time order. Cause must precede the effect in time and logic. So the cause will always come first and the effect will always come later. It cannot be that the cause came later. Check the directness of the link. There must be a direct logical causal relationship, no intermediaries. Use common sense plausibility. It has to be commonly true. So test if the relationship holds true in general conditions, if normally. Consider alternative explanations. Can there be anything else? Eliminate mere coincidences or parallel developments. Now, please understand, you must read each pair independently. Examine whether each event can be a cause, effect, both, or unrelated, and then identify your answer. For the don'ts, do not assume correlation equals causation. Just because two things are happening together, one and two at the same time, they're correlated, not necessary. Let's assume if one happens before two, again, it's not necessary that there is causal relationship. Okay. Do not overanalyze linguistic clues because due to maybe missing yet, the logic can still imply causation. So even if there is no cause effect word, there can still be an implied causation. Do not accept far-fetched causal chains. Keep the reasoning realistic. Do not neglect directionality. Cause cannot logically occur after the effect. And do not pick both as related unless reciprocal causality is explicitly justified. Okay. All right. Let's look at this question. We have seen this, but so how to solve? So I will ask, why has the state government decided to change the syllabus of mathematics for standard 5 from the next academic year? Many students from the state could not secure admission to the colleges of their choice. But this cannot be the answer, right? If I were to ask why many students from the state could not secure admission to colleges of their choice, again, I will not get my answer as the state government has decided to change the syllabus of mathematics, correct? So there isn't a causal relationship between these two. Okay, so can I check to see if there are effects of independent causes? Why would the state government change the syllabus of maths? Maybe it is very heavy, maybe it is very light. Why did the students not secure admission to colleges of their choice? Maybe they want enough seats, maybe they didn't get enough marks, whatever. So ideally, these should be effects of independent causes. You would not be able to draw these to a common cause, right? So therefore, no. So ideally, the answer should be D, effects of a common cause, right? Sorry, effects of independent cause. The given statements do not have any relationship. All right, let's look at the next one. Thank you, Samir. All right, statement assumption question. Now, what's a statement assumption? So the statement assumption, a statement is given and two, a statement is given and two assumptions are given, okay, like here. Now you have to identify which of the assumptions is implicit in the statement, okay. The options again are only one, only two, either, neither, or both. So please understand what is an assumption. Let's talk about that. So an assumption is nothing but a fact which must be true for the statement to be true. So if this is my statement, okay, temporally, that means in terms of time or cause or existence, the assumption must come before. And the assumption must be true, only then the statement will be true. If my assumption is false, then the statement will also become false. It's as simple as this. So therefore, for anyone who has to check this, try to negate the assumption. This is the best check. Okay, you negate the assumption. If the statement becomes false, okay, if statement becomes false, then the assumption is a valid assumption. Okay. It's as simple as that. If negating the assumption has no impact on your statement, then that cannot be a valid assumption. Okay. So that's how you will check it. Now, what are the do's? So you identify the implicit belief behind the statement, whatever the speaker must believe to be true for the statement to hold. Focus on unstated but necessary links. Assumption will always bridge the gap between the statement and its purpose. Check dependency. If the statement, so this is what I was telling you, negation. If the statement collapses when the assumption is false, the assumption is implicit. Prefer positive enabling assumptions. They make the argument workable or meaningful. Rely on logical presuppositions, not factual expectations. Assumption is reasoning, not statistics. All right, what are the don'ts here? Do not treat every possibility as an assumption. They must be essential. They have to be true. Do not mistake mere restatement or inference for an assumption. They are not assumptions. Do not assume universal truths or moral beliefs unless the statement requires them. Do not accept contradictory assumptions. If the assumption is weakening the statement, reject it. Do not bring in personal bias or real world knowledge beyond the text. So that also is important. All right. Okay, for example, here is your question. The civic authority of the metropolis has decided to suspend sanctioning of new building proposals for 6 months and to assess the impact of the current building projects on the city's amenities. Okay. So the first thing that strikes me is that the civic authority can suspend sanctioning of new building proposals. It's within their ambit. They can also assess the impact, right? The city's building projects have an impact on the city's amenities, right? Now, the builders' lobby may move to court against the civic body's decision. I don't know. From this statement, I cannot really assume this. Let us negate it. The builders' lobby may not move to the court against the civic body's decision. It doesn't impact my statement, so cannot be a valid assumption. The civic authority may be able to complete the impact study in about 6 months. Let's negate this. The civic authority may not be able to complete the impact study in about 6 months. So then there is a problem. The question itself fails, right? Because they have said stop it for 6 months and do the impact study. So therefore, the second one is a valid answer. Okay. So your answer will be if only assumption 2 is implicit. Okay. All right, let's go to the next type of question. I'm taking you through all the types of questions so you get some idea. Statement conclusion questions. Again, a statement is given. A statement is given and 2 conclusions are given. Okay. And you have to identify which of the conclusions are valid conclusions, right? That's our job. Now, options remain the same. So, what is it that we need to keep in mind? First, you need to understand what is the tone and scope of the statement. Is it general versus specific, factual versus opinion? Derive only what necessarily follows. Conclusion must be logically unavoidable. It's not a probability, it has to be a certainty. Now see, so if this is your statement, the assumption will always come before it, right? But the conclusion will always come after it. So temporally, logically, the conclusion comes after. Check alignment and scope. The conclusion should neither overgeneralize nor narrow the original claim. The inference and assumption, please understand, inference is something that you draw from the data. Okay. Assumption is required for the data. Okay. Any options that have added conditions or exaggeration, of course, eliminate. Look at the don'ts. Do not infer beyond the data. Don't assume causes, motives, consequences which are not stated. Again, correlation should not be confused with logical entailment. 2 statements can coexist without concluding. Do not accept emotionally or morally tinted conclusions. Author's opinion is not a logical conclusion unless it is mentioned. Any options that are paraphrasing are not an inference, not a conclusion. Okay. Take a look at this question. It's a very simple question, but well, that's all right. No channel, of course, you can. Why not? If your degree is a valid degree, you can write CAT after that. There is no harm. If it's a full-time valid degree, then yes. In a one-day cricket match, the total runs made by a team were 200. Out of these, 160 runs were made by spinners. Now, 80% of, so if 160 out of 200 runs were made by spinners, so that is what? Correct. It is 80%. Huh? So 80% of the runs were made by spinners. But does that mean that 80% of the team was spinners? No. Can I say that the opening batsmen were spinners? Again, I cannot say that. So the answer here will be D, neither one nor two follows. Okay. I hope you got that. All right, I'm going to take you to the last type, which is syllogisms. Now, syllogisms, of course, are questions that you solve through Venn diagrams. Okay. This you already know, so I'm not teaching you much about it. I will just take you through one question. Remember, two statements are given. Two or more conclusions may be given. You have to identify what is the correct conclusion. So, for example, some carts are trolleys and all baskets are trolleys. Now, if I have to draw a diagram out of this, so some carts are trolleys. Here are carts. Here are trolleys, and all baskets are trolleys. Now, if I have to draw all baskets are trolleys, I could draw baskets here. I could also draw baskets here. Okay, both are possible. Now, at least some baskets are car would not be true in this case. So, therefore, one is invalid. All trolleys are baskets. Of course, in this diagram only we know this is invalid. So the answer here will be neither one nor two follows. Now you could have also solved this through the rules of logical deduction, right? Which would be some carts are trolleys, so and all baskets are trolleys. Now in the sum statement, neither terms are universal or distributed. In the all, the first term is distributed, the second is not. So I know when the middle term, which is the common term, it's not distributed, there cannot be a conclusion. So any answer which says cart and basket will not be valid. Any answer that says trolley and basket, you will just check for a conversion. If all baskets are trolleys, then some baskets are trolleys would be valid. Some trolleys are baskets would be valid, but not all trolleys are baskets. And therefore, answer, even if I were to use the logical deduction, I would still get no conclusion, right? So my correct answer here, guys, will be neither one nor two follows. Okay. All right. Okay. So a couple of things for you guys to remember. Okay. Time discipline and elimination techniques are key. Each question type rewards pattern recognition over heavy reasoning. Practice identifying logical markers, feasibility, sequence, necessity, and inevitability. These are things that that will really hold you in good stead. Now, one thing that you must remember, guys, and it is that NMAT is for the English section is a test of speed. Okay, it's a test of speed. Why? Because you have 36 questions to be done in 28 minutes. I'm not saying it's not doable. It's very eminently doable. Okay. If you have a problem, then why don't you also take up our test series and see our testing engine will also allow you to do an NMAT adaptive test. Okay. So that's something that you can do. Okay. That's one thing. Now, so that's one. The reasoning section, guys, has both logical reasoning and analytical reasoning, right? Last year, there were plenty of questions of passage-based CR. So in logical reasoning, I will tell you. So in logical reasoning, there were plenty of questions on passage-based CR, okay, and statement-based CR also, okay. So your skill in both these types of questions is very important. So we've covered the statement-based CR questions today. If we have time and if there is bandwidth, then we might just do the passage-based CR also. Passage-based CR would be a paragraph is given, strengthen, weaken, assumption, inference, paradox, all of those types of questions are there. The logical section is also a test of your speed, but not so much as English. Remember, you cannot skip a question in NMAT. So you cannot skip, and therefore you must mark all options or all questions, right? You will have to answer every question, you cannot skip it. That's very important. And therefore, whenever you're doing your questions, be very careful and keep doing that. So that is a bit about the NMAT from my end. Okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Yeah? Anyone? Any doubts? Any questions? Any thoughts? No? All right, then we will stop now. I will see you next time. Remember, the Career Launcher muscled up CL app on the move is available. You can maximize every minute of your exam prep. All you need to download the Career Launcher app from Android, scan this. From iOS, scan this one. So that means if you have an Apple phone, you will do this. If you have any other phone, then you just go here and scan. Scan these QR codes and download the Career Launcher app. Of course, it's going to be an exciting new world for you. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have already hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. If you haven't, do it right away. So like I said, like, share, and subscribe. Okay, one more piece of information. So for CAT, we are going to be running a revision series. Okay, this is going to be happening on Mondays and Fridays, okay, at 8:30 p.m. The exact same time that this NMAT series was happening. And for SNAP, we are starting off a revision series, and that will happen Mondays and Fridays at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So do make sure that you're joining both of these sessions and doing your revision. Okay. Thank you so much. If you have anything that you wish to ask, any further things, then you can just drop the comment in the chat box. For any inquiries, of course, you can connect on 8130-038-836. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you will do very well in your NMAT. Bye-bye.